Good Wednesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversations Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this hump day with a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you put my conversation with Sharon Graham for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, talking about the upcoming deadline for healthcare enrollment in the United States. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In national news, California storms persist with deluge mudslide threats. California saw little relief from drenching rains on Tuesday as the latest in a relentless string of storms swamped roads, turned rivers into gushing flood zones, and forced thousands of people to flee from towns with histories of deadly mudslides. At least 14 people have died since last week. The storm prompted a few tornado warnings early Tuesday and brought heavy snow to the Sierra Nevada a day after dumping up to 14 inches of rain at higher elevations in central and southern California. Miles of Sierra highways were subject to chain requirements and closures due to whiteout conditions, and avalanche warnings were posted in the backcountry. The Eastern Sierra's Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort reported 4.5 to 5.5 feet of snow, with more expected. After a brief respite, another storm was expected to barrel into parts of the state beginning today, adding to the misery and further saturating areas already at risk of flooding. The storms threatened coastal and riverside towns and left more than 200,000 homes and businesses without power early on Tuesday, according to the website poweroutage.us, which tracks utility reports. The Weather Service issued a flood watch through yesterday for the entire San Francisco Bay Area, along with Sacramento Valley and Monterey Bay. Areas hit by wildfires in recent years face the possibility of mud and debris sliding off hillsides that have yet to fully recover their protective layer of vegetation. The storm, the latest extreme weather event to kick off 2023, was expected to bring enough rain to increase flooding and heighten the risk of mudslides, forecasters said. In more national news, GOP requests intel damage assessment of Biden documents. The top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee has requested that the U.S. intelligence community conduct a damage assessment of potentially classified documents found in the Washington office space of President Joe Biden's former institute. Representative Mike Turner sent the request Tuesday to the Director of National Intelligence, saying that Biden's retention of the documents put him in potential violation of laws protecting national security, including the Espionage Act and Presidential Records Act. Irrespective of a federal review, the revelation that Biden potentially mishandled classified or presidential records could prove to be a political headache for the president, who called former President Donald Trump's decision to keep hundreds of such records at his private club in Florida irresponsible. Biden ignored shouted questions about the matter on Tuesday during a bilateral meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister in Mexico. In more national news, Trump executive Allen Weisselberg gets 5-month jail sentence. Allen Weisselberg, a longtime executive for Donald Trump's business empire, was taken into custody Tuesday to begin serving a 5-month jail term for dodging taxes on $1.7 million in job perks, a punishment the judge said was probably too lenient. Weisselberg, 75, was promised that sentence in August when he agreed to plead guilty to 15 tax crimes and to be a witness against the Trump Organization, where he's worked since the mid-1980s. His testimony helped convict the former president's company, where he had served as chief financial officer of tax fraud. But when he made the sentence official Tuesday, the judge said that after listening to Weisselberg's testimony during that trial, he regretted that the penalty wasn't tougher. He said he was especially appalled by testimony that Weisselberg gave his wife a $6,000 check for a no-show job so that she could qualify for Social Security benefits. In more national news, Justice Jackson working on a memoir titled Lovely One. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is working on a memoir. Jackson, the first black woman appointed to the court, is calling the book Lovely One. Mine has been an unlikely journey, Jackson said in a statement released by Random House. But the past was paved by courageous women and men in whose footsteps I placed my own, road warriors like my own parents, and also luminaries in the law whose brilliance and fortitude lit my way. This memoir carries the public record of my life with what is less known. It will be a transparent accounting of what it takes to rise through the ranks of the legal profession, especially as a woman of color with an unusual name, and as a mother and a wife striving to reconcile the demands of a high-profile career with the private needs of my loved ones. No release date has been set for the book. And finally, in business news, stocks tick higher on Wall Street as inflation report looms. Stocks tick higher in a quiet trading day on Tuesday ahead of some potentially market-moving reports scheduled for later in the week. The S&P 500 rose 27 points, or 0.7%, to 3,919 after drifting between small gains and losses throughout the day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 186 points, or 0.6%, to 33,704, and the Nasdaq Composite climbed 107 points, or 1%, to 10,743. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Wednesday's episode of Words I Choose to Live By. To love yourself is to accept that you were created with love and are a conduit for the one who said that everything he created was good. Do not let anyone or anything ever take that away from you. Have an amazing Wednesday. We are part of my conversation coming up with Sharon Graham in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Sharon Graham from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about the upcoming deadline for healthcare enrollment. Here's a bit of our conversation. Sharon, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. So as I mentioned, people are starting the new year, but there are some deadlines they do need to be aware of. So what are the important dates, Sharon, for them to keep in mind when it comes to enrolling for the 2023 health coverage this year?
That's a great question, Cyrus. The Marketplace open enrollment period is ending on January 15th. So that's this Sunday, January 15th. So people who need health insurance have until January 15th to either apply for health insurance at healthcare.gov or, if they've applied in prior years, to update their application. But again, the important date is this Sunday, January 15th.
And Sharon, you bring up an interesting point, because one thing I've been talking to my audience about here locally is they say, well, I already have a plan. I don't need to check it out. But if someone has bought coverage through healthcare.gov in the past, why should they take a look this year?
Well, we know, Cyrus, that every year people's situation changes. Perhaps they've had a change in their family situation or even their income. So we encourage everybody to make sure they go to healthcare.gov and compare the plans that are available for them to see if the plan that they currently have is still right for them. And it's also important to know that the plan benefits will sometimes change, as do the premiums and the out-of-pocket costs. So again, it's important that people go to healthcare.gov to either apply for health insurance or to update their application to make sure that the health insurance they have is best for their current needs.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. But back to us on tomorrow, more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course, Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.